really good to start stuff like this because you never know who it'll influence to become a dancer or to make an outfit. So it's good to get skills like this, even if you already know it, you could learn something a little bit, a trick that you didn't know before. So make sure to share the knowledge of making sticks here. You know what I forgot? I forgot to measure the length of the. I think it's good. So I'm just kind of pushing down the crochet thread. So here we go. I'm gonna do my last color here. So just make sure that your curves are going outwards, like I said. And we're gonna continue on here. So here we go. Get my crochet thread. And do our last color. Almost done, guys. How long have we been online? Hour and 45 minutes. So we got our. That takes about 2 hours to make a set of sticks. So that's perfect timing here. So I'm going to take a look at my thread, see if it's the same size as the other side. So it's about the same size. So I'm going to tie it, wrap it, and then I'm going to cut it. And then I'm going to do the same thing. So just in case you guys missed it, you're just tuning in. What I did was I folded it in half, and then I went through the loop, folded it in half, and then I went around, then I went through the loop. So you can do this about 4 times. So seeing as it's kind of small, I made it kind of short. I'm just gonna go twice, wrap it twice, and then I'm gonna put the speed sew on. So right now I'm kind of having a problem with the crochet thread kind of wants to jump up towards the shoelace. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of push it down towards the hackle. So I'm just do that right now. Okay, that should be good. So I'm gonna put on my speed sew now. Our feathers our feathers are actually you can get the feathers from a lot of places actually. You can get them from Wetaskiwin. We just came back from there today. Prairie, the Wild West store over there, or even the I think it's the Bear Claw or Bear Paws or something like that. And they sell the bigs of hackles there, and I think I'm not sure how much they are, but they vary in sizes and stuff. And what the hackles I'm actually using today are actually the longer hackles part of the bundle. And so the reason why I like to use the longer feathers on these sticks is because it adds more of a flare look when you're dancing, and it makes the sticks look more bigger than they actually are. And it looks really cool when you're dancing out there and makes you stand out. And yeah, we're done our sticks. And so right now what you could do is you can put any kind of tape onto the ends of where this crochet thread is exposed. So you can put duct tape, like purple duct tape or whatever color you have here, and then you can wrap it around and then put shiny tape or whatever, and then you could just go crazy. And it's really your preference. And a good thing to do is you can go online and go on Google, and then you can kind of Google like different designs and stuff like that, and you could just go wild and use your imagination. So I'm gonna get my white here, and I'm gonna cover my exposed crochet thread. So what I like to do is I like to take about maybe like 6 inches eyeball, and I'm gonna cut off a strip, and then I'm just gonna wrap around the exposed crochet thread at the bottom. So I can go about right there, and then I'm just gonna wrap. So if you're wondering how you can do a design onto your sticks, it's actually quite simple. All you're really doing is you're layering different tapes onto each other. So if you got orange or purple or something, you put it here, shiny, silver, and these different tapes can be found at Michael's, Walmart, dollar store, even Dollar Tree, and just these different places. And then what it does is it actually makes it look more stands out more, and you can see it from a distance. Even though the neon colors, if you have neon green or orange, then you can see them from far away, and they'll look really cool. So I'm just putting my white here. I usually, I what I usually do is I usually put matching tape onto these hackles. So if I had purple, then I would put it onto the crochet thread here, but I don't have purple right now. So I'm just gonna put the white, and then later I'm gonna go buy some tape, and then I'm gonna put a little strip of purple right here. So I'm just gonna cut it with the scissors and then put purple there. So yeah, so I'm gonna cut my strip here. I have my strip of white electrical tape, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my other stick, and then I'm gonna kind of measure about where I put the other electrical tape. So this way it looks nice and even and straight. And so that way you can have a nice even straight tape work. So a lot of these measurements is kind of like going based on each other. And that's a fast, easy way you can develop sticks. So you don't have to measure everything with the ruler. So you could just measure one thing and then go off that one thing. Oop, wrong one. So I'm gonna take my electro tape. Also, you can order these hackles online. So you can order them from the States somewhere. It's just a lot of looking around and asking people. And the good quality ones, I think they come from China, I do believe. But I think China is actually closed down right now, or not sure. But anything coming in from China is really not coming in, so can't really order from them. So, ta-da! There we go. So now we're done. And so that's how our sticks will end up looking. Send us some pictures of your finished product and let us see how they look.
Thank you all for joining us. We are going to continue to do workshops online similar to this. We're so happy to teach, and we always try to be the most gentle that we can be in terms of teaching. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I'm Marissa RDADT, Red Deer Aboriginal Dance Troupe on Facebook. Shoot me a friend request or a message. You can find all my information at the very top of the Red Deer Aboriginal Dance Troupe Facebook page. And Jarrett Whitefish is also on Facebook, Instagram. So give him a follow. He has a lot of cool stuff that he does too. He's a really neat crafter. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. I will see you all shortly. Thank you. Have a good night.
Wow, that was a lot of amazing, great information. I'd like to say thank you, Jared, for sharing some of your wonderful knowledge on how to make fancy dance sticks.
The mandate of Urban Aboriginal Voices is to work collaboratively and cooperatively with Indigenous and non-Indigenous individuals and agencies to improve the well-being of Indigenous people in the city of Red Deer and those within a 53-kilometer radius of Red Deer. We also ensure that the Indigenous cultures are celebrated in Central Alberta. Our organization is made up of several layers. The members are Indigenous voting members, are living within 53-kilometer radius of Red Deer. The next layer you'll see is the domain working groups. These working groups are driven by community consultation, where the community identifies issues and priorities to be worked on. And both Indigenous and non-Indigenous agencies and individuals work together in these domains. We're always looking for members to help and volunteer to work on finding solutions to some of the issues in our community. And from the domain groups, a speaker is chosen through a process of consensus to sit in the leadership domain. Advising the leadership domain are 4 advisory groups: the women's domain, men's domain, elders domain, and youth domain. These circles act as advisors and provide their unique perspectives to the leadership circle on issues and matters of the leadership circle. This is a traditional model of leadership and based on Indigenous governance and ceremony, based on the 7 sacred teachings, including, and most importantly, the principle of respect and kindness.
Hi, this is Sarah from UAVS. We strive to help anyone within our community. At UAVS, we've created a new youth social services online program. We know in these uncertain times it is important for youth to have access to the support they need. UAVS and myself will be providing online weekly events and meetings for the Red Deer youth community. These events will include talking circles, storytelling, and interactive workshops. So we hope to see you soon online.
To learn more about Urban Aboriginal Voices, at our website, www.aboriginalvoices.ca. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Learn more about Urban Aboriginal Voices and how you can bring your voice to making a better community of Red Deer.
Hi, welcome to the program celebrating National Indigenous Peoples Day. My name is Brian Lazat, currently the president of Métis Nation of Alberta Local 492. I've been in Red Deer area since 1980 and basically work out of town as per requirements of a lot of people. So in the oil and gas industry, of course, there's no plant sites in my backyard here. Currently live in Sylvan Lake. And my daughter, Brianna Lazat, is a fiddle player. You're going to see her in a segment coming up in the program. She took up fiddling when she was 11 years old. She's competed in different events. She's won up in Peace River and up in Fort Vermilion. So she's won a couple of competitions. She was also a guest performer at the Canadian Grand Masters Fiddle Championships, and she enjoys doing those as well. She performs. She has a little bit of a following in Alberta and in the country. So she played some songs. Her and I were up at Métis Crossing, and we put them together to share with you on this great day. Local 492 was first originated in Stettler and now is based in Red Deer. Our boundaries are from Morningside to Didsbury and from Castor out to Agville. So we're looking forward to growing our local membership, and if you have an MNA card and are in our local area, consider yourself part of the local. We're going to be putting on events, hopefully building off of some momentum we've got going off here. And after COVID and all this pandemic stuff, we'll be looking forward to bringing some cultural and recreational events as well. We also have currently some help for the COVID crisis. So if you are an M&A member, you can contact us on our Facebook page. Everyone can contact and get informed on our Facebook page and like or follow it. Thank you very much. Enjoy the day and enjoy the program and all the Indigenous culture and performances.
I really hope you guys enjoyed that video. And now we're going to talk a little bit about language, and specifically the Plains Cree Y dialect language. My mother, Julia Olette, is a really renowned, awesome language speaker and teacher. And it's so important for us to get back to our language because a lot of our teachings are embedded in a lot of our words in our language. So for today, a special video was created to teach you some Cree language. So check it out, Julia Olette.
Welcome to Repeat After Me. We're going to be going through some random words. Repeat after me. First one is me, nia, nia, me, nia, nia, me, nia. You, gia, gia, you, gia, 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 you. Not me, muy nia, muy nia, muy nia, muy nia, muy, or you can say muy nia. Muy nia, muy nia, muy nia. But the fluent speakers will just cut that in half and say muy nia. Not you, muy gia, muy gia, muy gia, muy gia. Not you, muy gia, or muy gia, muy gia. Muya kia, not you. He or she feels good. Miuma chehu, miuma chehu, miuma chehu. He or she feels good. Miuma chehu, miuma chehu. Repeat after me. I feel good. Nimiuma chihun. Nimiuma chihun. I feel good. Nimiuma chihun. Nimiuma chihun. I feel good. Nimiuma chihun. He or she is sick. Ahkosu. 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 He or she is sick. Ahkosu. I'm sick. Nitahkosin. Nitahkosin. I'm sick. Nitahkosin. Nitahkosin. I'm sick. Nitahkosin. I'm not feeling good. I'm not feeling good. Muy machahun. Namuya miu machahun. Namuya miu machahun. Namuya miu machahun. Sorry, I got tongue-tied there. I have a headache. Nitistawanan. 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 I have a headache. Nitistawanan. Hey, repeat after me. Have a good day. Biuki sakansik. Kisagi nawao. I love you all. Later, muistas.
What a beautiful lesson in the native Cree language tongue. It's so awesome to learn all kinds of cool words. Hopefully you got that for yourself, and maybe you recorded it with your cell phone or whatever it is and have it as part of your everyday language. So thank you so much for that, Julie Olet.
Coco means grandma. For natives, they all call, as we grew up, we never said grandma. We said Coco. Mushroom is grandpa. There's a community Coco. I worked at Heritage Family Services for 11 years. I had my own office there, and all the children, you know, we had a therapist as well. A therapist, there's two sisters coming in. The therapist will take one, and I'd have one in my craft room, teaching them crafts, beading, all the native culture.
I may make moccasins for myself, but I don't teach it. Rosina's, but I can help. It's important. Well, it's their culture, people's culture, and they want to learn how to make their moccasins, because that's all they ever wore.
I'm thinking of going back to Ahbee and see if he has another hide.
Because it makes them happy. It makes them happy to learn how to make their own moccasins.
Elders Rosina and Bertha are incredible women. And, you know, as part of the Elder Circle and personally, they've made themselves available to me to seek their advice. But I've been in a number of meetings with them, whether they're formal meetings or informal meetings. And there is such a respect that everyone who has the opportunity to know them, there's such a respect that's there because of who they are and what they do. But there's such a depth of experience, much of it so incredibly adversarial, but there's such a depth of experience there that they really do bring wisdom to everyone around them. And I'm so very grateful for the opportunity to have them in my life in a personal capacity and a professional capacity, and to be able to seek them out. And they have such a quiet, unassuming way about them, but respect is really the word that comes to mind, because when they're around, there are just so many people who are just in awe of what they bring to the room.
Well, mine was an interesting one. I didn't know about Kokums myself until Walking with Our Sisters came along. I was invited to be a Kokum at the time of the Walking with Our Sisters. And it was just prior to that I had set off on my own journey, as I call it, about understanding the First Nation community, the Aboriginal community, getting to know what they were all about, because as a city, you know, it's important that we know how to meet the needs of the Aboriginal people as well, and how are we going to relate to them, and how is our governance model going to work with them.
We were elders on CFSA organization, and we used to have a meeting every 3 months or something like that, and there was elders there. So a couple of them asked me if I would be an elder.
I mean, as a council, what we have done is advocacy, and advocacy in terms of becoming the first council to make a resolution. For instance, that was about truth and reconciliation, or about women in violence. So we'll make a resolution, and that goes on the books, and it's amazing. It's heard about often nationally. And the other is really through our social planning department, I guess you could say, is where we hear from that.
Like our hearts. Can you all find your heartbeat? Right here, interesting. And that's the way you feel that ta-tum, 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 ta-tum. And And that's how we treat our drums. We slowly tap our drums because we respect our drum. We respect them. Visit me. No thank
Well, they're always learning how to count in Cree, and so I teach them. I said, Beyak, it's 1, Niso, Nisto, Neo, Nianan. 5, that's how far they can go. And they know all the animals in Cree.
The stockings were hung by the chimney with care.
It is pretty hard because none of their foster parents or biological parents, they don't know how to speak Cree. And we try to teach them at the school, but that's how far it'll go. They know all the Cree words and all the animals.
Yeah, what we're doing here, camera. Camera. Oh, here we go. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a beautiful picture of you smiling.
I want to go see.
Thank you for helping me.
Who's going to see this?
As an Aboriginal agency, we look to our elders to guide us and teach us.
Did I do that right, or is it the other way around?
And so for them to come every, I think it's every second Thursday or Friday, and offer craft teachings to anybody who wants to come in. So the Friendship Center is unique in that it's open to everybody, but we're teaching our culture and sharing our culture with everyone. And the importance it has for the families who come in, and the women, I think you saw mostly women in there today, is a connection to other women.
At home, though. Like I painted my rocks at home.
So today they're learning how to make moccasins, so a traditional craft from passed down generations. And that's something that they are learning and they can pass down to their children and their grandchildren. And the support that Bertha and Rosina offers more than just teaching them how to make the craft. It's, just conversation and community and, laughter, just being with each other, right? So being role models and support to the women in the community is really important.
Okay. Never see her.
Yeah. Rosina and Bertha, they actually have really good teachings, and Rosina is like a mentor to me because I only started embracing my native culture a year ago. And she's very open and warm. I can ask her anything, and she's taught me how to make moccasins, medicine pouch. She taught me about the teachings about the sweats. Like if I have questions, I'll just contact her and about protocols. And she's 84 years old, but she's well-spoken. She can actually bead the smallest little needles. She could put the thread through, and I actually have to ask her to thread up my needles. So she's very, very good and very, very wise. Yeah.
My mom did everything. With regard to the beads. In her 70s, she gave me all of her beads. Yeah. Your turn now, she said. She never taught me nothing.
Well, I mean, it has to start in school.
Good job, my friends.
And I think we've done a bad job overall in our country and certainly in our province and the province that I was originally born in making our kids aware of what happens and what it means to a woman and how to treat a woman. And so I think there has to be a lot more youth programs that make sure when they're young, because once I think they've reached 18 or so, you've lost them. You can have some sort of an impact, but you're not going to have as much of an impact as you are when kids grow up, when they're 3, 4, and 5, like the kids that Bertha and Rosina are with in the Head Start program.
Finished now. Do you know what a documentary is? Yes. What is it?
They respect us. Like yesterday we had a potluck and they always ask me to say grace in my language.
And Peyton.
all the time.
Now we just want to take a moment to highlight some of our Indigenous artists who are making an impact in this world. So here is a special interview with artist Taylor Belanger. Check it out.
So Taylor Nasikasun, Sakatawak, Ochinia. I just said my name is Taylor. I am from Sakatawak, also known as Other Cross. And you can actually just see my community back over there. It's very, very beautiful. So that's just in the upper part of northern Saskatchewan in the bush, which is beautiful. So yeah. I got into music like quite a long time ago when I was younger. I was never really focused because, you know, as you get older, responsibilities start happening, and as of lately, I just really wanted to get some of the things done that I have never gotten done. So music being a part of that, and so I just really wanted to go full force and focus on my music, and so through that, I've been doing small shows here and there, and it just turns out I'm emerging into the music industry. So I would like to describe the type of music I make is a mix between like alternative rock, classic rock, and R&B and hip hop. It's an interesting mixture, but I find that I work between the both of them very well because I do have a deeper, raspier voice. So I think that's definitely going to describe like me, myself, and like myself as an artist. So. Yeah, the name Soka actually was given to me by my uncle. The original name is actually Soka Piuswe, which is one who sits strong, or strong woman. The Cree word for strong is actually Sokan. So I just decided to use Soka as an artist name just because it really resonated with me, and it just was something that you can say very easily. So yeah, I just decided to stick with it. I call this track Protector because given the circumstances we have Indigenous people have been facing for many years, I just wanted to do like a motivational call out for protectors, whether that be young people, men and women. So I just really wanted to make a track like this because it's a call out, and hopefully people can listen to it and just really resonate with it. So. I would like to tell my viewers just to stay tuned because music is beautiful. I said okay, yeah baby, you know that you're worth it, you know this, so baby, come on, yeah, I said come on.
Right on, Taylor. You are doing such an amazing job out there. Keep up the good work.
Denzel, my name is Marissa Moccasin. I come representing the Red Deer Aboriginal Dance Troupe. I'd like to acknowledge our elders, knowledge keepers, and my fellow delegates for joining us today. I am honored to be a part of this year's virtual celebration for National Indigenous Peoples Day. I humbly ask that you take part in commemorating the richness and beauty of First Nations people and culture from whichever territory that you call home. Stay healthy, stay safe. Hi, hi.
Hey there, I hope you're enjoying the National Indigenous Day event. We have a lot of videos here for you, a lot of amazing presentations, and people came together to help create this amazing day. So thank you for tuning in. We're gonna go on to our next beautiful video with our amazing people who kind of put this day together for you. So here we go, let's check it out with this amazing teachings brought to you here today.
Good morning, everyone. Hope this finds you healthy and happy. I'm really honored and blessed that Tanya from UAB, our fearless leader, has asked me to do the 7 teachings. And with Chinihan Kopikiwan is sponsoring this teaching, or as I put it, learning. I'm sharing some learning with you, more so than teaching, and they're sponsoring it, the 7 grandfather teachings. And I wanted, because of our school, our cultural learning center is how we have to do it now. Helping Me Grow Learning Center. Perfect. Then I want to do a couple extra things above and beyond our learning for children. There's animals here and on the table that represent the teachings. And I want the children to really, really focus on not just these animals, but these. And at the end, I'm wondering if they are able to count how many turtles are in this session, and to find the one animal that doesn't go to the teachings. So I would like to start with our beautiful almighty eagle. Oh, we are so blessed to have the eagle. When we smudge and pray, the eagle takes our prayers to the Creator. We've labeled him love. And I really, really honor the eagle because I try to do everything I do with love. It comes back to you so many times over, and it's just so much easier to love than to, be unhappy or miserable. Just love. Every time I see an eagle, I am just so happy with that. I kind of hung that eagle, our mascot, at the top, so you would realize he is our prayer taker. So we really honor our eagle for love. Another one, the buffalo. We have some buffaloes as well there. The buffalo, he represents respect. Wonder why we would label it respect. It's because at one time, when the natives got to live free, the buffalo supported everything we did. He provided our food, he provided our clothing, our housing, he provided our tools, and of course the food. Nothing went to waste from a buffalo. So we label him respect. Another awesome one. All of them are awesome. I love them all. The bear. The bear. I wonder if any of the children can remember what the bear represents. Bravery, courage. Oh, to be a bear. Wouldn't that be awesome? You are powerful. You are courageous. You're brave. You don't really have to be afraid of anything. You have that kind of strength and courage. I love the bear. I love all the bears. All right. Let me think which one should go next. I wish the children were here so they could help me pick. Another one of my favorite, it's the turtle. The turtle represents truth. And I have a very strong connection with turtles, and I never really understood why until my hair kind of turned gray a little bit. And then I think now I have it, because it's such an important teaching. So important. Always be honest. Always tell the truth. Then you never have to remember what you said, whether it's with yourself or with others. Now, there's going to be an extra something here with turtles. I would like if the children are able to count all of the turtles, and I'll have Tanya zoom in on this maybe, because some of them are so tiny for you to count. And we have a very special turtle connected with our braid of sweetgrass, which is just awesome, our medicines, our smudge bowl, the turtle. And then when we do our prayers or when we smudge to cleanse ourselves, we must be honest and tell the truth with ourselves, with others. Let me think. Where should we do? The wolf. The wolf. Oh, the wolf represents humility. To be humble is a very hard thing to do. I know in my process of living, I think it was one of my, I wouldn't say a strength. One of my hardest things I had to work at was to be humble. And being humble means you can do good things for others and you don't even have to tell them you did it. It's again from your heart with love. Sometimes you may need courage, respect, but to be humble is really what I consider almighty. You are just bare human. When you can be humble, you're just a bare human. I love the wolf. Wolves have the ability to heal themselves. That's how humble they are. I wonder if the children were here, I think they would pick the Ahbee. The Ahbee. Now, what is the Ahbee? We've seen the bears. Now, we've heard of Bigfoot, Sasquatch. We've heard of Yeti. So it's the unknown. We have to have faith that even though we may not have seen a Bigfoot, we know there have been people who've seen them. So we believe the Yeti represents honesty. To me, it also includes faith. We have to believe. It's like our Almighty Creator. Maybe we don't see Him. However, we know there is one. Who would have made this beautiful earth if we didn't have a Creator? So I used the phoenix bird also to represent the faith, honesty. For the children, they can pick which one they feel is most like a Yeti or a Bigfoot. I'm not sure which one they would pick. They have a few to choose from. Next. The beaver. Oh, the beaver. What do we label the beaver? Wisdom. I wonder why we label him wise. I think I do know, though. Do you know that these beavers they live in water or land, and what do they do when they're in the water? Their teeth are so sharp, they can chop down a tree, put it across the water, build a dam. They are so wise how they can create homes. They're called beaver dams, but they're their home. They're just so wise. The beaver, where's that? Oh, we have a beaver, yes. Oh, yes, wise. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's why we call it the 7 grandfather teachings. In the center here, I've included a smudge because normally when we do our smudge, we have a big one and lots of smoke. However, it's not the amount as much as it is what is in your heart with love, how you learn to respect Mother Earth, yourself, others, how you can be like the wolf and be humble. When there are things maybe not too good for you, you can heal yourself because you're humble. For the bear, for the courage, we all have courage. We all can be brave. Sometimes we have to practice it though. The turtle, to tell the truth at all times, with yourself, with others. Sometimes if you're asked a question, gee, does this look nice on me, but you don't feel it does, it's best that you say, no, it doesn't, because someone might rather hear it doesn't look good on them than say, oh yeah, you look nice, and they go out and about and other people think, gee, you don't look nice. So tell the truth in everything you're asked, in everything you believe, you be truthful with it. It will go very, very far for you in your lifetime. And then mostly our beaver. We need to be wise. Always think about what are we doing. It's okay to make mistakes. Everyone has to do that on their journey. But really think about what you're doing, how you're treating people, how you treat yourself. Honor your body. It is a temple. Use wise decisions. Make good choices. I'm wondering if anyone is up for a count. Let's try to figure out how many turtles are here. I think we should start with the smallest one. Where is the smallest one? Right here on the braid of sweetgrass. Is he beautiful? Oh, beautiful. Let's go one for that. Here's one. Two, we can go two. Look at this one. My granddaughter beaded this beautiful turtle. So we'll go three. Oh, four. Here's one on the stone. This beautiful stone. Five. Six. There's got to be another one. Oh, he's hiding over here. Number 7, we have 7 turtles, just like we have 7 stones. From our ancestors, these stones came from. They've been here long before we were, right? And then I also asked a question. I wondered if anyone could pick out an animal that doesn't match the 7 grandfather teachings. Wonder, is there an animal here that doesn't go with the teachings? The buffalo goes, the bear goes, the yeti goes, the sabi, he goes. Yeah, our sabi is there. Here's the beaver, but what's over here? Oh, he's so cute though, right? He just wanted to be in here so bad. Oh, he's so cute, right? But we don't have a teaching about him here. We might make up a story for him. All right, I hope you enjoyed I hope you can retain and learn from this. And it's all done with love. And I so honor our stones. It's from our ancestors. I so honor my community, the elders, the adults, the children, our little cultural school helping me grow, my friends, as well as honoring UAV, the Urban Aboriginal Voices, also our sponsor, Wichinihan Kohopikiwan, helping me grow cultural school. I want to give a special thanks to my friend named Feline. She's the one that painted. She's just a beautiful artist, and she did all the stones for me because I were everywhere up to me. I probably just would write the name and the meaning on the back. So this way you get a beautiful visual. She just is awesome with her artwork, and I think she should be acknowledged and thanked. Always use your talents for good things.
Hey there, how did you enjoy that video? It was amazing. So we're gonna go on to our next part of our program, and I hope that you're really enjoying what we brought you here today for National Indigenous Day. So here we go with the amazing teachings of our Indigenous lifestyles. Here it is.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is Urban Aboriginal Voices. We are doing a live feed and recording of a bannock workshop with my nephew, the professional bannock maker, Indigo Pulliam, and my dad is here, Lloyd Pulliam, and we're gonna do a little workshop about bannock. So welcome, and hope you have your ingredients. If you're playing along, you'll need your flour. You'll need some water. Some people use milk, I do. Some people like an egg, I do. Oil or lard, and some baking powder. So if you are gonna play along with us today, I would encourage you to run and get your ingredients. Get a big bowl, and my dad is gonna play a song for you while we're getting ready to go. We're gonna wait for you for a few minutes. Go ahead, Dad.
Just before I start, Tanya, I'd just like to explain a little bit about my grandparents, and this song is about that. I wrote it. It was the only song I ever wrote. But anyway, my grandparents meant so much to me up in the St. Paul area that I wrote this song, and so I'd like to sing it for you. I always went down home to Granny's farm. Aid at home was more than we could bear. A 4-room shack on the hill was all my daddy could build. So I went down to stay at Granny's farm. Me and Grandpa George went fishing at 4. Well, the Beaver River ran past the old barn door. When the old 410 came down, I shot another round. By gosh, Granny's duck soup tasted fine. Granny's farm was always home to me. When I was there, I never felt alone. With pancakes on at 7, I thought I was in heaven. Life was always great at Granny's farm. My granny ward stood all 4'9", cooking and washing clothes at the crack of dawn. My granny worked all day, she never asked for pay. Life was always great at Granny's farm. My granny passed away Sunday evening. I can see the grieving and the tears, but I'll bet that she's in heaven with pancakes on at 7. Life will be great at Granny's farm. Granny's farm was always home to me. When I was there, I never felt alone. With pancakes on at heaven, we'll all be there in heaven, and life will be great on Granny's farm. Yes, life will be just great on Granny's farm. Granny's farm.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks. Thanks, Dad. All right, we're gonna get started. So get your ingredients together. We're gonna make 2 kinds of bannock. We're gonna try and make them at the same time, but we'll talk you through the different processes. So if Indy's gonna do fry bread and I'm gonna do baked bannock in the oven. We were hoping we could show this over an open fire, but unfortunately with the torrential downpour last night, we don't have any dry wood. So we're gonna do modern today. So first you'll start in a bowl. Well, first you'll start by just smudging all your items, making a good prayer to have a good heart. And I think that's the key ingredient with making bannock, is that you have to have good thoughts, because whatever you put into your food is gonna be what you're gonna get out of your food. And so we wanna make a good food and a good prayer for all the people that are gonna eat this bannock and eat your bannock. So 6 cups of flour for the baked recipe. Is that the same for yours? You're gonna work with that much?
I think so, yes.
Okay, so 6 cups of flour. You put that into your bowl, and then I have a 1/4 cup of baking powder if you're making baked. And Indy, how much is in yours?
I think it's a 1.5 tablespoons.
Okay, so less in the fry bread. So you just put that into your bowl, put all your dry ingredients together. And then you're gonna put a little bit of salt. We've got these ingredients here. Probably about a tablespoon or 2 teaspoons. Can I have a teaspoon there? Thanks. I'm gonna put 2 teaspoons in. I don't like it too salty. And then in the baked, you're gonna put in 3 tablespoons of sugar or more, depending on if you like it sweet or not. I don't like it sweet so much, but you do it however you want. You know, I remember going up to my cousin's place where my Uncle Norman lives, and my dad took me there to connect with my relatives up around St. Paul area. And as soon as we went into the house, my cousin just started a bannock. She didn't ask if we were hungry. She just put tea on and started a bannock right away. And she never measured anything. She just knew exactly how to do it. But if you're new at making bannock, maybe you don't wanna fake it. You might want to start with recipes. But I think it works out just good.
Remember, Tanya, we had lots of fresh raspberries too that we went and picked right away, right out of the garden. Oh, wow, that was great.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The fry bread is really, really similar to the bannock, except it gets a tablespoon of each sugar and salt.
So then I like to put all the dry ingredients together and then all the wet ingredients. So I've put in a 1/4 cup of oil, just regular cooking oil, and I put in an egg. Now, some people will say you don't use eggs, and that's okay. But like my Granny Ward would say, that's the way I do it. So you make a well in the center, make a hole in the center. So you can pour your wet ingredients in slowly. And in this mixture is 1 cup of milk and about 2.5 cups of warm water. And that warm water will help activate that baking powder. And then I think that the secret is to pour it slowly. We turn our fork in the way of the sun, and we make all of our good thoughts for all the people around us that are going to eat the bannock. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
I take it electric mixers don't cut it, eh?
They really don't, hey?
No, not really.
This is not something, because you don't want to beat it too much. So you want to really just get your ingredients wet and then put it right out onto your counter with flour and knead it. So in these days of COVID, you want to make sure that you wash your hands really good before you start. We always should be washing our hands with soap and water, lots and lots, and keep everything clean. So if it's too dry, then you can add more flour. So I want to show you the consistency of this one. Indies will be very similar, but we've got it. So it's still kind of crumbly, but we're going to knead it out on this, just on the counter is fine. And we'll get a little bit of flour, and then I'll turn it out. You don't need it as much as you do bread dough. It doesn't need as much kneading for sure as bread dough, but you want it to be that nice, fine consistency. Now, if you wanted to add some raisins and some cinnamon, you could do that. You could do that now. So we don't want to knead it too much. And I think about my days at the Friendship Center, and I think that's really where I learned to make good bannock with the help of Nadette, who was such a good teacher to help me. The first time I ever made bannock for my husband, it was just like pucks. It was so hard and terrible. So don't be discouraged. And that's as much as I'm going to knead it. It's nice and floury. It's ready to go. I know that my granny used to roll it out, and then she would use a tin can, and she would cut the pieces and cook them that way. But I like it the way Bertha Poor would make it, and Irene, they would make it just like this, and taught me to cook it in a pan like this, and then we're going to use our fork and just poke it a little bit so that it can cook evenly in the oven. Now, when I cook it in the oven, I started at about 400 degrees, quite hot, and cook it for a little bit of time, maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes at that temperature. And then I take the temperature down to 350 so that it cooks all the way through. Now, I've greased this pan so that it won't stick. So mine is just about ready to go in the oven.
I think I messed up my recipe.
No worries, you just need to add more flour.
Yeah.
You can't mess it up. If it's too sticky, add more flour. It's very, very simple. This is a bush recipe, and so you really can't mess it up. Just add some more flour. Oh yeah, that's going to be good. That's going to be fine.
I take it that was intentional so that you can explain the flour.
Exactly.
You're very good. My grandson is very smart.
So we hope you're following along. So what we used was 6 cups of flour. We used 1/4 cup of baking powder. We used about 3 tablespoons of sugar and a couple of teaspoons of salt. We put in 1/4 cup of oil and we put in a cup of milk, or just use water. That's totally fine too. You can just use water. Some people with their baked bannock like to use lard, or even your bacon grease on the side of your stove. I remember Granny always had a lard jar, and I keep a lard pot by my stove in memory of her, because she could really cook. So our bannock is in the oven, our baked bannock is in the oven, and that's going to take us about 20 minutes. And so while we're doing that, and while Indy is getting his dough ready, I thought maybe I would play you a recording of Florence Pulliam Ward, Ward Pulliam, telling a story. Hopefully that's what I'm going to do. Maybe that's not what I'm going to do. Indy, you take over while I figure this out. Oh, wait. Send it out.
The fry bread is really similar to the bannock, except it gets fried. It's probably my favorite way of making it, because I love everything fried. So once you have your dough, you just want to roll it out, just so it's not super thin, but you don't want it too thick, or else your oil or your fat isn't going to be enough to cook it.
Did you put more wood in the stove, Tanya?
I'm just heating it up now.
There is a bit of a difference in the cooking tools that we have here versus what your grandmother had, Tanya. That's progress, I guess.
All right, here's a story. Oops.
It would be, I think, about track 9. I think it's the last one.
Okay, if I hadn't.
So once you have your fry bread pieces ready and cut, and you have them the size that you want them, you want to get your oil nice and hot. The way I like to test it is to just dip in a corner, and if it starts to sizzle, it's ready. If it's not sizzling, just wait a little bit longer, because you want it sizzling just enough so that it cooks nice and quickly, but it cooks all the way through.
Tanya, do you want me to tell a story about the time that the squirrel ate Grandma's bacon?
Sure.
Or bannock? Just while Tanya's fixing the music there, I want to tell you a story about a long, long time ago when my mom and my wife and I and the kids were camping in BC, and Tanya's brother and Indigo's dad were with us, and they were about 8 to 9 years old, and they were after my mom, their grandmother, to make them bannock on a campfire. She did not want to do that. She probably had never done it, I'm not sure, but she didn't feel very confident about it. But anyway, after bugging her for a few hours, she finally caved in and said, "You build me a good hot fire, and I'll make you the bannock." Okay, everybody was happy. Anyway, they built the fire and she was making the bannock and everything, but it didn't look quite right. But anyway, she finished making the bannock, and it seemed to be a bit raw in the middle. The fire wasn't right. But anyway, it was now getting dark. So we were sitting around the campfire and we were going to eat the bannock. So anyway, the boys didn't like this bannock at all, but they didn't want to hurt Granny's feelings. So they were throwing the bannock into the bush when Granny wasn't watching. And Granny thought, well, they liked the bannock pretty good because they came back for more. So she was happy, went to bed and everything. In the morning we got up and we're sitting around the fire having coffee, and all of a sudden this squirrel came dragging something out from behind a rock in the bush. And Granny says, "Well, now what's that squirrel dragging out of the bush?" And then she realized it was her bannock, and she said, "It looks just like bannock." Well, the secret was out, and needless to say, my mom did not forget that episode of how the boys had eaten, or she thought they ate the bannock. But even the squirrel was having fun dragging it around, so maybe it wasn't that bad. But anyway, that's a bannock story. Probably not one that anybody else would like to try, but anyway, it was a good experience of kids and their grandmother. And Granny never forgot it neither, and she bugged them about it all the time. But it was a fun thing as we went through various parts of their life with their grandmother. Anyway, that's the story of the bannock.
Okay, so I'm going to turn the oven down. Are you ready to go?
I think so. Yeah. So our oil is nice and hot. So you can just go ahead and start placing your fry bread into the oil. You just kind of want to gently lay it in. And then I like to slide it around a little bit so it doesn't stick to the bottom.
You couldn't find that story?
No.
No?
Ooh, that looks really good. Wow, awesome. Well, do you want to see if you can find that video? Well, I guess we don't really have a phone to play it on at this point. Sarah, if you're listening, can you see if you can send that video that we were supposed to play to Grandpa's phone? That would be wonderful. Yeah, as part of our youth online program, this workshop is coming to you with the organization of Sarah Pulliam, who is working as the online youth worker for Urban Aboriginal Voices. And she has found a nice little story that was originally broadcast from CBC on the history of Bannock, which might be something interesting for all of you, especially in these days where we're talking about what's healthy food, and we never want to lose Bannock, but we also know that Bannock has changed over the years. And yeah, we want it to remain something that will be something we can always enjoy when we go to the powwow and have our Bannock burger or our Bannock, anything with Bannock is great.
Perfect. Can you grab the Bluetooth speaker?
Yeah. That Bannock is looking just perfect. Can you see that? Oh yes, lovely. Perfect. Would be great if you're following us on Instagram and you're also cooking Bannock. Do make sure that you send a Snapchat or an Instagram of your Bannock that you cooked today, so that we can see how wonderful everybody is doing with learning to make Bannock. Great job. These are beautiful Bannocks. Now, maybe on another day, we can learn how to make jam to go on the Bannock. But if you have some jam, that's always wonderful. Or Cheese Whiz is one of my favorites when I'm not being very careful about processed food. But always good cheese, a little bit of butter. You can put a little bit of cinnamon on those if you want something that's a little bit of a sweet treat. But you can cut these in half and put your bologna in there or put your hamburger in there. You can make your tacos. You can make an Indian taco with that. So we want to do more cooking opportunities for our youth to be able to continue learning to cook for your family. Some of our family favorites. I think we're going to do candied trout here in the next few weeks, so that'll be very interesting on an outside fire. But we have lots of recipes that we want to share, traditional cooking. Maybe you have a traditional recipe that you would like to share with the community. You can send that to Urban Aboriginal Voices. You can put that on Facebook, send that recipe to Facebook, and we'll share that with the community. It'd be great to have some fish recipes, some stew recipes, lots of traditional foods that we can share together. And so we're happy that we could spend a little bit of time with you today, and we would love your feedback as well. We had some trouble with our technology, but we are looking forward to your feedback and your participation in the online youth program that will have its youth check-in nights talking circle. It's 7 o'clock on a Sunday night. And you can also watch for more live stream workshops. And we hope that some of the youth will do workshops as well. We also want to give a shout out to Red Deer Aboriginal Dance Troupe and to the backyard dance practices with Patrick Mitsui, and we hope that you'll check out some backyard powwow dancing, and also check them out at their location at Sunnybrook Farm, and continue to learn the traditional dances and learn more about our beautiful Indigenous culture. Yep. So if you don't set a timer on for your oven Bannock, you will need to just keep an eye on it and check it when it's brown, it's done. You can use a toothpick, of course, to poke the middle, and when the toothpick comes out clean, your bannock is ready. So yeah, so you can see that you really want to watch the temperature of your oil. It's good, the slower you cook your fry bread, the better it will be. So I see that Grandpa is really wishing that we had a cup of tea for him to have with maybe have a little piece of bannock. So we're gonna get Grandpa some butter so he can, and a little plate so he can try out this good bannock.
Oh, Indigo, you better watch out. I'm quite an authority on bannock, in case you didn't know. So I'm sure that if I give you a compliment, it will be well deserved. Indigo has quite a background of cooking food and professionally, so we're very blessed to have Indigo with us today, right, Tanya?
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Okay, so it looks like I was able to find the video.
So can I start now?
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to pick a small one because I want to take I don't want to overdo it. My clothes are shrinking on me, so I have to be very careful as to what I eat and how much I eat. I think it's going to be a little bit too hot for me right now.
Maybe just cut it and... Yeah, so they say that the baked bannock is a very dense bread, a very dense bannock, and the fry bread is a much lighter bannock, much lighter and fluffier, I guess, a fluffy bannock. So either one. Hope you'll try it.
I'm not going to jump off my stool, so I'm going to let it cool off a little more because it looks pretty hot still, so hopefully it'll hang on until it cools off.
Awesome. Well, that's our story of bannock. We've told you our story of how we got bannock. You've got 3 generations of bannock here today at this little in-house restaurant today, and we've shared with you what we know about bannock and how we've learned to make bannock, and hope that it was entertaining, and we're gonna sit down and eat some bannock. I will bring this one out of the oven and show you.
Indigo, I just want to say that I'm not an authority on eating bannock. But I have eaten a lot of good quality foods, I think, in my day, and I would like to compliment you on a wonderful piece of work that you've made here with your bannock.
Well, thank you very much.
And I'm sure that there would be many elders that would consider it an honor to have Indigo's fry bread. So,
thank you very much.
Yeah, so when you get to your restaurant, I hope that you'll give me a fish burger bannock burger, whatever. It's very good. I would say it's probably 9 out of 10.
All right, thank you very much.
And here's how your baked bannock will come out. When you finish bring your bannock out to cool, you can tip it over onto a cooling rack to cool it, or you can just tip it out and stand it against the back of your stove and let it cool off. You don't let it cool off in the pan, you'll want to take it out of the pan. So it's a golden brown and it's ready to be cut. Let's see if I can cut a piece here.
I think if I'm going to sample Tanya's bannock, I better loosen my belt buckle a little bit. Maybe quite a bit. It looks delicious.
So there you are, friends. That's what it looks like. Nice and, yeah, nice and fluffy. It's very hot, but that's the way it should look when it comes out. So, so here you have baked bannock and fry bread. You have learned everything that you need to be successful. Don't be discouraged if the first time you make it, it turns out hard. I think for the first long while, my bannock was very hard, but it seems like I'm getting it. Indy, on the other hand, picked it up real quick, so maybe it skipped a generation. So thank you for being with us. We hope that you've enjoyed learning how to make a couple of kinds of bannock, and we look forward to hanging out with you again for another workshop. If you are a youth that has a skill or a talent or has learned something during this time of being cooped up and want to share it with others, please let Sarah know and she will set up the same kind of workshop. We'll do a live stream workshop and you can teach other youth how to do the interesting things that you're learning. Stay tuned for more and have a great day.
So what did you think about that video? You know, there's a lot of pieces of knowledge that you can get from that video, and if you got anything, make sure you're taking some notes or you have your little recorder out so you can take some of that knowledge with you. You know, part of our Indigenous culture is passing things down in oral tradition, so we like to tell stories and we like to share with youth. So here's another amazing story that we're going to share with you guys today. Check it out.
And the worst of it, they were supposed to be God's people. That were doing all this stuff to us.
Red Deer itself had a residential school. It was called the Red Deer Indian Industrial School, and it is across the river on private property from Fort Normandeau, or it was. It operated from 1893 to 1919 when it was closed. I know that they brought children from the north, mostly, to the Red Deer Industrial School. I think one of the reasons they did that was distance between them and their family, though their families did come to the school. They worked clearing land, they worked producing food, which they sold, probably used to feed themselves. They may have produced other items to support the school, and they did attend classes, not for the entire day, but probably half a day. The industrial school story is told at the museum, and it is told here at Fort Normandeau. We also know that during the flu epidemic, between 1918 and 1919, that there were a number of children who died at the school and who were buried in the Red Deer Cemetery and not in the cemetery that still exists on the site where the industrial school sat. Those children were buried in the Red Deer Cemetery because there was no one to bury them at the time because everybody was sick. Those graves are going to be commemorated with a marker this year, which is being provided by the Remembering the Children Society so that their graves will finally have a marker and people will realize that they are buried there. We know that within our community of Red Deer that we have residential school survivors. Two of them being Bertha Poor and Rosina Winnie, who are both very active as volunteers within the First Nations community, as Kokums and as elders who provide teachings and advice and continuing on traditions. We have recorded and filmed Rosina and Bertha's stories of their residential school experiences to understand what those experiences were, how it affected them and their families, and how they use those experiences today to help other people.
Yeah. Okay. My name is Bertha Poor. My maiden name is Ironstan. And I was born in Manitoba on a reserve called Valley River Reserve. It's now called Tutuwazabing. They changed the name. But I only lived there for 3 years of my life. And then my father died, and my mom moved away from the reserve. She moved to North Battleford, Saskatchewan, with 4 of us. There was 4 of us in the family. She'd done that because she thought maybe we wouldn't have to go to the residential school. But in the 1940s, I think it was 42, when priest and the police came out to my grandpa's place and come and got I and my sister. We were all dirty and playing outside. We didn't know what was happening. They just come and got us, took us by the hand, put us in this little car, and took us to the school. The school was called Delmas. It was about maybe 50 miles from where my grandpa lived.
Go like this when I'm ready. Hi, my name is Rosina Margaret Winnie. Pichowis was my maiden name. I was born in Saskatchewan. The reserve I was from was Mr. Wash's Reserve. And I came from a good home. And then next thing I knew, my whole world changed and we were hauled to residential school. That being in residential school didn't help me at all, nothing. It just, my whole world just crushed, and the way we were treated. Lack of education, we were spent working. The whole day would be in the laundry or dining room, sewing room, kitchen. And there was a lot of abuse. The food was terrible. We also had my brother there, but we weren't allowed to see him. I would just wave at him from a distance. That's all I can, that's the only contact I had with him.
Diane Rollader. I'm Rosina Winnie's daughter. I'm sure it affected her more than she ever let on to us. We always knew that Mom went to residential school, but we never really discussed it, or she didn't discuss it. We never really questioned her on it. It was only later on when the Truth and Reconciliation hearing started and she became more involved with these projects that, we started to hear a little bit more from her.
About it? Okay, whenever you're ready. Okay, my name's Everett Poor. My mother is Bertha Poor, whose maiden name was actually Bertha Erminskin. Well, basically, as my mother said, my grandfather would try to send them to school. And this is probably very young, probably 5, 6 years old, beginning of school. And when they would go to school, and pardon my French, I don't know if it's correct, but it'd be "Va tu petit sauvage," is what the nuns would come out and say to them every day. Go away, you little savage. And it would send them away from the school. So basically, they didn't have the opportunity to attend a public school.
There's so many things that I can say, but it's just a horrible thing for me. My life was ruined. It ruined my life. To this day, it's still, it's affecting me. And my grandpa and my mom asked them not to cut my hair, but that was the first thing they done when I got there, cut my hair. So that made me really sick. I was sick for a whole month in bed. The doctor came to see me, and he said I had a broken heart. I was really abused. I was abused every kind of way you can think of. Even the other girls molested me. We used to go down, we had our bathroom downstairs, and we used to go down there to go to the bathroom, and this girl would be standing there. She'd wait for you and grab you and try to feel you, touch you all over. But I never did tell. I never did tell on her because I was afraid of her. She was a big girl. I never told on her. And all through these years, I dream about that. I'm trying to get up that stairs and I can't run. Somebody's after me. And that's probably, I'm thinking about that.
I suspect it's about 1941 they actually run away. My mother and my aunt run away from school. They go back to North Battleford, back to their grandparents and their mother. The RCMP come, and basically my grandfather is going to get his shotgun to try to keep the children at home. And I'm not sure if it was my great-grandmother or my grandmother that basically dissuaded him from doing that, because basically he would have ended up in jail, in prison for doing that. So they are taken by police car back to, at this point, Onion Lake. Which is in north of Lloydminster. And the reason that I understand that was done was because it's too far for them to run away again. So they end up in St. Anthony's, which is Onion Lake. And the records that I could find indicated that they were there from about 1942 to about 1948. My aunt would have been there longer because she was younger. I'm not sure exactly when she would have been discharged, but she would have been, my mother definitely from about early 40s to the late 40s, she would have been in St. Anthony's.
Hit the first track, I guess that's when we went to Duck Lake. We had no idea where we were going, just to run away. From Duck Lake, of course, they notified the school, our school. The maintenance man came and got us. And he knew we were going to get a strapping. Laid us on our beds and our nightgowns. Principal comes in with a big strap. I remember putting something in his mouth to keep his froth. Ugh, I remember. And he's strapped and strapped. Next day, we had to scrub floors in our nightgowns, our hands and knees. We never saw a mop in that school. You know, we all have to hands and knees scrubbing floors.
My dad is Frank Winnie. He's from Six Nations Reserve out in Ontario, and we're from the Lower Cayuga tribe. Very proud of my dad as well. He faced a lot of life's obstacles, and you know, one of them was, you know, Dad, you know, I don't know if I should say that, but Dad faced a lot of stuff too, but he's a good dad. My name is Anne Marie Hall, and my mom is Rosina Winnie. Like, to hear the stories Mom told us, like the first time she saw a vehicle was when they came to take her away. Or, you know, they get strapped for being, you know, if they're caught speaking Cree, or she would see her siblings, her brothers across the room, but she couldn't talk to them or see them. Like, we can't comprehend that. Like, I'm a mom, and my son is 10 years old. I cannot imagine someone saying he has to go away. I can't imagine that.
And they cut our hair, bangs here, long here, and short up there. And we all lined up. Matron was cutting the hair, and the principal was standing there. Next cuckoos, cuckoos means a pig, eh? He said that. Next cuckoos, that was me. Oh, she knows what I'm talking about, he says. That's what we had to live with. We all gave them Cree names because, you know, his name was Mr. Ellis. Max Dagon, he was a short little guy, and we called him Machimanto. Machimanto's the devil.
The one thing people say is like, well, they got an education. You know, some of them turned out to be doctors, lawyers, teachers, but the effects of the sexual and the physical abuse and the torment that they faced, you know, unfortunately, they turned around, some of them, to be abusers themselves, and that's carried on, you know, the alcoholism, all that. It's hard, like, we have to, I think the one thing is Mom chose to forgive. She says, I'm not living in that bondage anymore because I chose to forgive. And that's how she moves forward. And I would hope others can do that too, as hard as it is.
But for my father, no, he never spoke about it at all growing up, at all. It just wasn't something that was spoken about in the family.
Our culture was not passed to us. We never learned to speak Cree. We've never really taken up the native arts that Mom does with her beading and her moose hair tufting. I don't know, residential school, I think there's long-term effects to that we don't even know yet. So, but I'm very proud of the way my mom lived her life, and her forgiveness for what she went through that really makes us stronger.
Today we recognize that this policy of assimilation was wrong, has caused great harm, and has no place in our country. The Government of Canada sincerely apologizes and asks the forgiveness of the Aboriginal peoples of this country for failing them so profoundly. We are sorry.
Happy National Indigenous Day, everybody. It's such a beautiful day to celebrate. It's also Father's Day. So I want to say what's up to all the fathers out there. We send you guys love. I know it's a lot of hard work being a father out there. And, you know, just supporting all the mothers as well. So with that, we're going to bring in another awesome video for you guys today, and this is fun, isn't it? I know we can't wait to gather again, and we're gonna do it again in a safe way as soon as possible. But for now, let's check out that next video. Here it is.
I'm Ray St. Denny. I'm a Cree Métis woman, and I've lived in Red Deer for 60 years, I guess. I moved here from Caroline when I was a kid, and my daughter Candace Ogilvy is with me, and we've done finger weaving for communities up to Edmonton, out to Big Valley, around different places in Red Deer, and down to Hills Are Alive last year. So it's fun, and so our finger weaving that we're doing is just really basic. A long time ago, sashes were made with leather because the men wore them to give them strength and support around their back when they were hauling heavy loads. As time progressed, women wove the sashes for decorative part of regalia, and they became much more colorful. And so we have two sashes here. One is a narrower sash. This one is a sash that was gifted to me by Audrey Poitras, and it's called a Hope Sash. It was originally for, it came out of Saskatchewan, and the Hope Weavers, and they created this sash for breast cancer.
This one is more of a young boy's sash, the smaller one.
Yeah. And it's, as you can see, the colors are way different. And they have more of our traditional red and blues and whites in there. So making a finger weaving sash, we have two different styles here. Candace is going to do them just flat on the table, and I have mine on a stick. You can use twigs, which are really easy to obtain. You can use popsicle sticks. I've seen people make them with
the tongue depressors as well.
Yeah, tongue depressors, but also with the Chinese chopsticks. Yes, and so those are really cool because they hold the material, the yarns flat, and keep them quite stable. We have to either tie or tape ours on. And so you begin on your left. And by the way, I'm directionally impaired quite often. But you begin on your left, and it's a constant under and over. And what were you saying about double knots?
Well, if like for this one that's not tied to a stick, you would double knot it
at the top
first. That would be your first step.
Whereas because this is on a stick, they don't require that. And so it's constant over and under. And we've chosen to alternate colors just because that makes it easier. And it also gives a nice pattern when it's done. And this is probably the most basic finger weaving pattern. You can, and so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 threads or strands of yarn that are used.
And you have to go with doubles, like
that.
It has to be even numbers for your strands.
Yes. I tried one last year that had sets of 4 colors, and you had 4 and 4 and 4, and it gives a wider weave and also a different pattern. But the basic steps are the same, and your challenge is always keeping your threads straight. And as you can see with Candace, she has hers spread out, and that makes it a lot easier to keep them straight. So again, you start on your left, and you go under, over, under, over, under, over, under, and over, and under the last one. And you pull your threads up. With each one, you pull it up to the top. And when you're finishing, you need to be really careful and remember that you don't forget the thread that you've left up to the side. And ladies used to make these by using the back of a chair if they wanted long sashes, and the chair could be moved farther and farther away. Oops. So at Shining Mountains, we serve people on a status blind basis. We have 20 units of housing, of low income housing, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom accommodation. And we provide culturally sensitive teaching and prevention of HIV, hepatitis C, STBBIs, and cultural sharing of for Métis people. We have a variety of resources, and we work both nationally and provincially with various organizations. Trying to improve the social determinants of health of our communities. So we've taught children in grade 4 and 5 to do this as part of a cultural event that the schools were doing. The kids enjoy, and they're much better weavers than they think they are. And I think I messed up because my weave is not the way I want it to look. And so this is a lesson in patience and practice. That unless you are a weaver by profession, it teaches us patience. And I think that's something that our families used to try and teach us as children. Patience with ourselves and patience with what we were doing. There is no, this is the way to weave, or this is the pattern that you need to weave.
Well, there kind of sort of is. You need to remember the over under.
Oh, yes, yes, absolutely. The over, and that's the one thing to remember is that your threads go over the strand and under the next one. And keeping them, as you can see, in order from where you start. So in my case, on a stick, Candace, she has them like a smart person taking it nicely down. And it keeps it much easier. There. And then you just continue with your pattern of over, under, until your weaving is to the length that you want. And I believe when we cut these, they're about...
It depends on how long you want them.
You cut these about how long?
The short ones I usually make so that they can like go around your wrist. So say about 30 centimeters-ish.
Okay, and I would have used the term inches because I'm still...
I mean, well, if it was inches, it'd be about 11 or 12 I
inches.
guess. About a foot. It all depends on your wrist.